Chapter 3, 7 Ships. She killed Duran? Yes. She didn't tell anyone why. Maybe she didn't think anyone would understand. Maybe. Maybe she was ashamed. Wouldn't she want to be guarded from the Ortsons? Why didn't anyone find out? The council member from Ortso would have informed the council, right? Unless he was covering it up. Why wouldn't Ortso attack us and retaliate? I don't know. We must give this to the council, Zach. I know. It is our duty to tell them, even if it means betraying your mother. Nothing has happened all this time. Maybe we should keep it to ourselves. She's not evil. She loved Duran very much. He had a dark plan which he put a stop to. Why must her secret rest on us? Why didn't she just tell them? I don't know. It puts us in a difficult spot, especially you, and it's my fault for reading it to you. I'm sorry. Don't be, it's all right. I'm supposed to go to Elkstaff in a couple days for a festival. Will you be going? Yes, my father and I both. Let's sit on it a few days and decide before I'm to go home. That's a good plan. I have to get you back to Garrett's. It's only a couple hours until dawn. Zach, why don't you live in Josephera? You're one of us. Why the hell would I want to? Good point. I can't. I have many duties. Even if I didn't, I wouldn't care to. You must stay there. It's safe for you. But shall you visit me? Perhaps, Cheyenne, if I can. Zach led Cheyenne to the crossroads and kissed her on the cheek. She smiled and turned down the road. He watched her until he couldn't see her anymore, and then he went in for the night. The next morning, Garrett gave a curious look to the tri-breed. You met Zach, I assume. Cheyenne almost choked on her food, then looked down at her lap. Yes, Guardian, I'm sorry. Call me Garrett. It's all right. I figured you two would meet. He lives close, well, when he's not at sea, that is. Cheyenne kept quiet, hoping Garrett didn't know anything else. He didn't seem to. They packed a couple bags and met up with Neja, Zach, and 2 small fairies, Isidore and Junie. They all flew together with Neja in front and Garrett in the rear. When they landed, 3 young men met them. Greetings. Welcome to Elkstaff, land of all creatures, the youngest of the 3 announced. I am Jake Falconberry, and this is my brother Evan. He was taller than Jake, tall and thin with a dark complexion. Jake was shorter with a fair complexion. He had his father's elven ears, in which Evan had none. Jake was not as serious as his older brother. Zane was dark-skinned, with beautiful large eyes that made you feel as if he knew more about you than you did. They named you after the king of old? Yes, it's embarrassing. They were introduced to Jack and Nemi and sat down together at a large table to eat. Cheyenne was impressed at how many different creatures sat at this table. Humans, elves, feathers, and drakens. They ate, talked, and laughed together. She felt more at home in Elkstaff than she ever did in Josephera. She wished there were more creatures in her home above. Right here she felt she belonged. After the meal there was wine, music, and dancing. Evan was making his way to Cheyenne, but then Jake jumped in front of him with a smile. Never mind him. He's first to the throne. I'm first to dance. Cheyenne just grinned and followed the happy Jake. He wasn't much of a dancer, but his never-ending conversation made her laugh. Evan rolled his eyes. He was used to Jake getting or making all of the attention. He sighed and sat down next to Zach. Curious to Evan was this little fairy Junie who followed this Josepherian around. She sat on his shoulder with her chin in her palms, like she too was waiting for a dance. So you want to dance too? Yep, Zach answered quickly. Do you know her well? Is there something with you two? I don't really know her well. She's remarkable, but she feels captive in her homeland. How so? She likes it here. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. They shook hands, and when the dance ended, Jacob brought her to his brother. Cheyenne wanted to dance with her familiar, but instead just went with the flow. Evan was graceful and proper. I wish you could visit here more often. You seem pretty happy. Yeah, I am. Well, try to make some time to come back here. Your mother trusts Jen and Kai and the rest of us to protect you. I don't see why not. There was a long pause until Evan spoke again. You found a book you weren't supposed to find. What? You found a book you weren't supposed to find. What do you know? Are you playing a game with me? So you did, Evan chuckled. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Do not dig inside my mind, wizard. I know your parents and your powers, but my secrets are not your business. You offend me, so you do. Maybe others would be offended if they knew you knew their secrets. Cheyenne turned red, bowed, and swept away from him. Even though Evan fancied her, he didn't worry about how he had frustrated her. He smiled a half smile and then went to find his friends in the crowd. Come here, Cheyenne urgently whispered to Zach. I need to talk to you. Then let's dance. Junie smiled and flew farther off to watch. The human prince knows about the book. He pulled it out of my mind. I'm scared. We must destroy it. We need to give it to the council to stop a potential war. We're going to get in trouble, Zach. I don't want this burden. Let's destroy it tonight. Promise me. Fine. We'll meet tonight. Don't be scared. She kissed his cheek, smiled, and put her forehead on his shoulder. He read her and liked it. Thank you. In the dark corner, he watched them silently, just another shade within the shadows. He knew not all was what it seemed to be. He did not dance or drink that night. He knew something wasn't right, and there was a storm brewing. It involved a book, the owl, and the girl. When they returned to Fairy Island, they met again that night. By the shore, and they burned the book with the sliver moon on it until there was nothing left but ashes. Cheyenne held Zach, and he put his arm around her. It's over. It's done. When Zach fell asleep, he had a dream that Cheyenne threw herself off of the cliffs onto the jagged rocks. Zach screamed himself awake and flew in his nightclothes until he was by the shore. There was somebody waiting for him. When he reached him, he stopped abruptly as he saw a tall figure. It was not Cheyenne. Zachary, what have you done? Where's the book? We destroyed it. Do you have any idea what you've done? I'm sorry. I didn't reveal it to you. I'm sorry, Father. I shared it with her. Duran is dead by Trillium's hand. No, Duran was just here, and Cheyenne is missing. Phariseph of Josephera. Trillium Josephera, child of harmony. The door to the temple appeared, and both went in silently. The entire council sat before them wearing confused and disappointed faces. It's nice to see you again, Trillium, Neja flatly commented. Before Trillium could sit down, Neja waved his finger at her. She stopped in mid-step. You sit, Phariseph. Trillium, why don't you tell us why Duran would steal your daughter like this, and what was in that book that my irresponsible son would destroy it? We are all very curious, Trillium. She approached with tears in her eyes and began to speak. I'm sorry for not telling you before this. I have been ashamed of what I have or haven't done. I had no choice, for he had evil in his heart. He hypnotized me and Claire Ann when we went through the Grove of Souls. All I remember was a message the spirits told me. They said, beware of the man. I thought this to be a Josepherian we met in Claire Ann. I was wrong. I believe the message was beware of his plan. Duran's plan. He told me that he needed my light, my power. He believed that with my power added to his, that he would be able to find the scepter. He knows of the scepter of Zane? Yes, he lusts for it, and he's still looking for it. I pushed him off the balcony, and I believed he died. There's no way anyone would live after falling that far. I ran out in a panic. I never once wished to see his dead body on the rocks. I thought the member from Orzo was hiding the truth. I never made a deal with him. He complies that Duran rules Orzo, but Duran himself has never showed. No war retaliations have come to us. I believed my secret to be safe, though why an Orson would cover for me was beyond my understanding. Forgive me for my secrecy and my betrayal of the council. You should have told us right away upon your return. He could have easily come back for revenge. Why he hasn't until now is a mystery. Or if the Ortsons had found out, they would have come to attack us. You got lucky, though you acted foolishly. I believe you had right to kill him. We understand your reasons. Anything having to do with the scepter is a very serious matter. Duran is very powerful and more eligible than anyone else to find the scepter. Now he has the best bargaining tool to draw you out to him, your daughter. He means to see you again, and he means to find that scepter. We cannot protect it, for nobody knows where it is hidden. Have you figured out how Duran lived? Yes, he can still change form. Very good. How do you suppose he was able to take Cheyenne when there was no ships and his owl form is too small to carry her? I don't know. He took the winged male. The shields on Fairy Island were temporarily disabled when Cheyenne came in. He knew somehow, and he was waiting. Long enough for an owl to go unnoticed and free a Pegasus. No one even saw him fly away. If they did, I doubt they would remember. He also took some flowers and some fairies. Duran would never drink the brew. He doesn't either, because he's bad enough. He doesn't have to, but his minions who are powerless do. We have a missing tribe breed whom we should not chase, because if we do, we play into his plan to draw you out. Do you think he'll take Cheyenne's power? If he wishes to, he will. I believe he means to draw attention with what he already holds. He may be powerful enough to win its favor. Win its favor? Yes, it is said that whomever can win the favor of the scepter may possess its power. If the scepter resists the one who seeks it, it shall not be found. Duran has been seeking it for many summers now, and he has not found it. Although he has a great potential to be the king of HAVENBELL, he also has a dark ruthlessness about him that the scepter does not favor. With enough power, he may be capable of persuading it that he is the right master. Understand? All too well. Gone, how many times have you seen your king? I told you that he lived, and that is true. I keep him updated on council meetings. No longer from here. He is your king in Ortso, but I am your leader here. Unfortunately, you are stuck here on this side of the war. You shall not return to Ortso. If I pledge my allegiance to the council, I can go back as a spy and keep an eye on his plans. Nay, Gon, he can dip into your mind as easily as dip his finger in a cup of water. We shall not risk it. As I've said, Duran has great potential to rule HAVENBELL. It is up to our actions and reactions and up to the scepter itself whether he succeeds. This is what we are to do. Farisef, make your army strong. We shall mix our armies. We will have ground, sky, and sea. We will only have a few fairies. We must guard them well. What of my clan, Master Neja? They may not wish to blend with the others. Do you think they wish to help us? Yes. You must blend. It will make us stronger. This is the new HAVENBELL after all, and each must learn tolerance. In 8 days a gathering was constructed, the largest ever. Many ships of many races anchored upon the shores of Elkstaff. Elves bearing their own armor and weapons poured out upon the land. There were hundreds of tents erected as far as the eye could see. The sweet smell of food cooking upon the fires filled the air. A swarm of Josepharians clouded the sky like a swarm of bees. They singled out and landed in organized formation. They came bearing cargo and weapons. They began to form their camp on the east plain. The Centaur arrived in 5 ships. They unloaded and set their camp on the west side. There were kitchen tents that served the food to the armies. Jin and Kai sat together eating. Look at all of them. It is breathtaking. It's a shame that we may need an army of this size for 1 man and 1 girl. He's pretty dangerous. Mind control, many powers. The whole sky, man. If we fail Jin, he will become our king. I never thought about it that way. You should. Trillium and Farisef joined them. She was no longer dressed as a Josepharian. She was no longer dressed like a queen. She was dressed in elven warrior clothes, covered by her bear cloak. She had a stone expression on her face. Are you ready, dear friend? Kai asked Trillium. Yes, of course. What do you think? I think you may do anything. Will you surrender? If that is what he truly wants. What if he takes you both captive? I don't know what Duran anticipates or is willing to do. Nobody truly ever has, and I don't think anyone ever will. A herd of centaur crowded the posters that were posted on the square. Upon them were the names of the chosen to go on the journey with the wizards, to find the tri-breed. Each one crowded and pushed their way to the front. Some were explaining, some were complaining. A rather plain, unimportant centaur slowly strolled up to the list, just like he suspected. He wasn't on it. He began to walk away from the crowd and get closer to the ship they were loading. It was enormous, and he was determined to get on it somehow. He hid behind crates of supplies and waited patiently. Soon he could hear hoofbeats approaching. He hunkered down and waited for the right moment. He jumped out, holding a thick piece of wood for the fire. The centaur barely saw his attacker before he fell into a sleep of unconsciousness. Talon quickly drug and hid the body behind the crates. He knew he only had a moment to do this right. While the others had been so preoccupied by the list, Talon had secretly acted like he was selected. He pulled out his armor, weapons, and put them in a plain box that he stacked near the back of the pile. He had marked it with a very small check mark. He quickly took the apparel of the soldier and found his box and carried it onto the ship. In the cargo room there were 2 other soldiers inside, but they paid no attention as he made his way to the back. He waited until he heard them both leave. He went to the deck above to the roaring noise of excited soldiers, most of whom had never left Clarion or ever seen a creature of another race. Ale was being passed around. He took one and found a dark corner to hunker down in. He hoped no one would notice him or call him on his stowaway, at least not before they took to sea. By then it would be too late to boot him off. He hoped anyway. Inside he burned with the knowledge that he must share with the Outlanders. All he wanted was to meet a wizard firsthand. He wanted to meet his goal, even if he died in the process. Cheyenne gazed across the Adrella Sea and watched the sun glisten off of the water. The waves would swell and descend like a lulling lullaby. There was nothing calm about the situation, other than the ocean itself. Cheyenne rested behind Duran upon one of the winged horses he had stolen from Fairy Island. Her wings were tied, and she was unable to move or jump off into the sea where she could transform. She wondered if he intended to harm her. She was scared and uncertain. "Only your eyes and ears resemble your mother's. It's unfortunate that you look like your father." Such a jerk. "You're that upset she did not love you? Her love for him could not be broken, not even by a sorcerer." "I would watch your remarks, prisoner. You don't have a clue what will happen to you." "They will find you, and you will have to face them all." "Oh, I hope they do. That would be nice, darling, but they shall never find you." Jake belched and leaned back on the bench with his hand on his stomach. "Jake, have some manners." "Manners are your duty, brother." "No, leadership is mine. Royalty is yours as well, so act your status, please." "Father was too lenient on you in your quest for rebellion." Jake made a goofy face at Evan. "Exactly." "What do you suppose is going to happen?" Zane, son of Kai, asked Zach. "We will be split up upon different ships, all go different directions. We either must find her or draw him out. Do you think this war will be longer than the one my father and your father fought against the Dark Ones?" "It already is." Neja strolled slowly upon the stage. His stance was upright and serious. He approached a funnel-shaped object very much like the one Trillium used in the Adrella Sea. "Attention, all creatures. I am Neja, leader of the Wizards of HAVENBELL. Thank you for uniting here with us in Elkstaff and for leaving your homes and families in order to help our mission. We would not have called you all here unless it was absolutely necessary. Cheyenne Josephera has been taken by Duran Alasius, the king of Ortso. We must find them both. Though killing this king may cause a war with the Ortsons, it's better than our alternative, which is to be ruled by him. He has taken the royal tri-breed and has started a war against us. Be warned, for this man who at one time saved us from his own brother and fought against Trimidoc is not all what he seems. He is a powerful sorcerer. Because of his depth, we shall send a wizard of the council aboard each ship. If Duran is found, we approach him timidly and alert the highest of powers so that they shall deal with him. He is also capable of shape-shifting into an owl form. We believe he can do this at will. Please know that he is weakest in his owl form and you must kill him. We cannot risk letting him go. We have 7 ships. We shall split up and explore each land. Our armies will be joined. 50 Centaur, 50 Elves, 50 Josepharians, and 50 Adrella following each ship. We will have no Draken or Aztrak army. They will not leave their land, but we shall look over theirs. I'd advise you all to be courteous to them. Any poor behavior will make us closer enemies. We are at war with the Ortsons already and do not need another. Trillium will go to Aztrak. She is the only one who can enter their city. Our ships are loaded and ready. These are the crews I have chosen, but before I announce the list, I need the armies to gather with your races and be counted off so that we may divide you. Upon the shores were hundreds of ready Adrella. The armies grouped up, and when they were ready, Neja continued. Duran has also taken the male Pegasus, Eli, which reduces our odds of getting them to reproduce. We must reunite them or their species dies out forever. It is important that we retrieve the male. Duran must die if we find him. Bring back the horse, for his intention for HAVENBELL are unknown. He himself can cause and has already began to create much chaos and misery to all of us. Kill him if faced with the choice. The first vessel is the sea serpent. The leaders shall be Jasha from Phthia, Zede from the Adrella Sea, Mamie from Fairy Island, and Connor from Claran. You will each select 50 troops from each race to board this serpent shortly. The next vessel is High Tide. Phariseph Josephera, Trillium from Josephera, Felice of the Adrella, Summer from Fairy Island, and Alan from Claran. Trillium smiled and nudged Phariseph. That's the Birdman. What Birdman? You'll see he brought some too. She pointed at Alan, who carried 3 different cages of birds. You will select your 50 as well. They began to divide. Neja continued. The next vessel is the Sundown. Jen and Kai from Elkstaff, Ayumi from Phthia, Seth from the Adrella, Gon from Orzo, and Garrett from Fairy Island. The fourth vessel, the Solstice. Jack and Nemi Falconberry, Shar from Josephera, Isabel from Phthia, Aster from Fairy Island, and Nubis from Claran. The fifth vessel, Polar Mist. Zachary Winsfeld, Evan and Jake Falconberry, Junie from Fairy Island, and Olson from the Adrella. Pardon, Master Neja, Nemi interrupted. I don't think it's wise to put all of our children upon one ship. We may lose them all. I reject your decision. You are correct. Perhaps Jake can board your ship, Nemi. No, that's not fair. I want to be with my brother. You go with us, son, Jack ordered. Jake sighed. Yes, father. Zach, are you comfortable with the crew I have selected for you? Aye. Do any of you prefer to board another ship? Nay, nay, nay. We will find her. I have a feeling about that. Zach knows her. He is the key, Evan said. It is more important that you stay alive. You have good reason to be concerned, but they do not wish to split up. At least send Garrett with them, Nemi suggested. I will go. Garrett smiled and walked to meet his crew. The rest of you must board the Silver Dollar. The other half will board Whitecaps. In 2 moon cycles we shall meet directly under Josephera, Section 1. That way we have protection from above while we congregate and share information. After saying goodbye to each other, the 7 ships set out to sea in rays of the afternoon sun. It was a fair day already, with each crew prepared for their long journey, each to their own destination.